Hello everyone and welcome back to Stellaris. I'm Lord Forward, this time with another guide, this one on starting moves. So I can't guarantee this is the best starting moves, but after speaking with several people, this seems to be a pretty good start for people who want to get better at the game. It's a bit of a closer to a min-max start. Obviously I'm not a big fan of complete min-max starts, so take it with a grain of salt, but for those of you who want to get better at your starting game, this should help quite a bit. So just loading it here, you'll see I picked this empire to start. As always, your starting empire is pretty important. So this one is fanatic authoritarian and materialist for the research, the authoritarian for the worker output, the monthly influence, and the stratified economy living standards, and the enslavement. Then we went slaver guilds to get more output from slaves and increase the amount of enslaved population. And then I picked aristocratic elite because it just sounded kind of fun to do. You might want to replace it with something else. The species we have here is industrious. I did talented and decadent. Worker and slave happiness, they're not going to like us anyway, so this will be pointless. I did talented just because as the game goes on and you have longer lifespans, the talented cap will help your governors, rulers, everybody be slightly better at their jobs. And industrious because minerals are super strong now. It stacks very powerfully with the slaver guilds and use of slaves, which are the most productive pops in the game. So now, I can't guarantee everything here needs to be done in the exact order I'm going to say it. And basically, everything I say before we unpause the game can all be done roughly at the same time. So one of the first things to do is to get more minerals. Minerals are key on this new patch. So you basically want to sell as much of stuff as you can, your consumer goods and other stuff, and buy at least up to, I think it's 300 is the required amount here. Yes. And you want to build a mining district almost immediately. Without minerals, you have nothing. Specifically, also, if you have slaves, those minerals will be more productive. Other things to do. You want to go in and disable your clerk jobs. So clerks are really bad. If you look at what they actually produce, they produce 2 amenities and 2 trade value, which is terrible. So you want to turn that off if you can. And in fact, you also want to go up here and turn off your enforcer job. I'll explain why in a few minutes. The next thing you want to do is go to your fleet designer. There it is. And you want to edit the design of your existing 3 corvettes. Oh, no, I don't want to... okay, I've messed up there somehow. Okay, we want to click on it and we want to edit it. Why am I forgetting how to do this? See, this is not something I do. This is something someone was kind enough to help me with. Design details. Okay, we want to edit this. Maybe we do it this way. Choose designs. Oh, this is basically the goal here, and I can't remember how to do it because I don't do it. No, why am I in Fleet Manager? I need to be on Ship Designer. Ship Designer, there we are. Sorry, it's in the total wrong area. You want to change this design here. And basically you want to get rid of the hyperdrive. You want to get rid of the power this generator if you can. Doesn't look like you actually can there. You want to basically remove from it everything you can. And then you want to save the design. Yes, and then you want to go to the fleet. And you want to retrofit it for this design, which should be your existing one. It sometimes auto applies, and then what you want to do is if you upgrade the fleet, you'll see 3 ships will be upgraded for negative 145 alloy. So once this upgrades, you'll actually get a free 145 alloy, at which point you want to disband your fleet. There's no point in having a fleet early on, and it costs you minerals, and it costs you alloy to keep maintained at the start of the game. So you want to get rid of that. As you can see, the upkeep for one of these ships, 0.65 energy, 0.15 alloy. There's no real reason to maintain that. You want to pick your research. So there are, by and large, these plus research from researchers are the best ones to take. However, there is at least one exception. And this one, since we don't have that option, we want to probably do minerals from jobs, but mineral station output isn't bad either. The key is this one. So obviously we don't have research from researchers like we did for physics. However, we actually want to take this eco simulation one. The reason is, and I'm not going to show the full use of this. Apparently you can sell up to, according to at least one person, it was 148 food on the market without impacting the price of food. And food is more valuable to sell on the market than it is to actually make that in energy production. According to them. I haven't tested all of this 110%. I'm relying on the fact that they are better at the game than I am. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to build at least one science ship. You could build 2, 3 if you really want to. The reason is you want to explore quickly, so you can claim the land, and so that you can find anomalies to boost your stuff. Then, okay, let's see. Do we have anything else we need to do here? Yes, we have to talk policies and edicts. So one of the strongest edicts in the game is information quarantine here. This is because we're absolute. Because we have authoritarianism, we can use this. It adds 5 stability. Every 5 stability is equivalent to about 3% production. So if you apply 5% to your whole empire, that's roughly 3% more productivity from population. So it's very strong. The government ethics attraction is convenient, to say the least, but it's not amazing. We want to go onto policies, though. So the big ones are your economy. If you want more alloys, you want to switch to militarized. It's usually the best one for quick expansion. Civilian is okay if you need consumer goods. Mixed doesn't give you much of anything, so people who are trying to min-max avoid that. For trade policy, you want to shift from wealth creation. Wealth creation gives you obviously 1 energy per trade value, but you have other benefits here. This one gives you 0.25 Udity, and there's very few ways to generate Udity in the game, and early on Udity is very powerful. So swapping to this is very useful. Later on you may want to swap to this if you're having trouble maintaining consumer goods. And that is basically it. If you're going with slaves, you want to make sure you definitely allow for resettlement and stuff. And then we have, the existing buildings. So right off the bat, you don't really want to care too much about your empire sprawl when growing. So you want to replace this building pretty much as soon as you can. Probably replace it with a research lab. And you want to replace this administrative office with research labs as well. You cannot do this, and the cost is not immense, but obviously you will have less research early on. You want to avoid building commercial zones basically everywhere. They're reasonably terrible. You can build a holo theater, which has more amenities for roughly the same upkeep. And you basically want one of your worlds to be a bureaucracy center, not all your worlds to have just a little bit. That's because you want to pick designation, but I'm not going over that in this guide. You want to decide what tradition you're going down. It's usually a no-brainer. How you start, you almost always start expansion. One of the key things is you want this 10% pop growth. And in fact, if you have a 10% pop growth tech here, like this one, it's probably actually worth taking this over the farming. I just remember that. But this is also very strong as well. You basically want this, and you also want all 3 categories. You want this physical research from jobs. The reason you want the growth is because growth is what really matters, because with population, you can then do research, and then once you have research, you can do everything. So that is pretty powerful. Just want to double check I don't have anything else here. This is why we actually did remove all the jobs. Remember, we canceled all these jobs and we got rid of the enforcer. The reason is we've spiked crime on our planet to 30. That allows us to, I don't remember what level it is, but it allows you to go down here and do negotiate with crime lords, costing you 25 influence, doubling the, or adding 50% of the crime on the planet, but most importantly, getting you 10 stability. At which point then you go back in here, you re-enable the enforcer job, and the crime should disappear once you give these people jobs, which they will get once they have minerals. So in the meantime, though, you can restore the jobs. The crime plummets to basically nothing. Your starting system is 10% more stable. Your starting world is 10% more stable, which is going to give you like 6 extra or more research output, resource output, including your research, which is very useful. Outside of that, once you start moving forward, you want to quickly build up your capital system. You want to mainly focus on getting the mineral one first. Obviously, we have no resources, so I'm not going to unpause. You want to focus on getting the mineral first, and then you want to focus on getting the energy. At that point, then you can grab any research. In terms of expansion, assuming you did in the settings, every start, barring a few exceptions, like Gaia Worlds, Ring Worlds, or Hegemonies stuff, will have 2 existing habitable worlds nearby. And those are the main goals for you to get to. You want to basically beeline to settling those as fast as possible. Because once you settle them, then you'll get additional population growth. And as I said, population is power, and it will help you to get off to a much, much better start. At some point, you're going to want to build a second construction ship. I find to do it once I've got like 2 colonies going and I'm starting to expand in multiple directions. 1 construction ship will not be fast enough. Just build 2 though for a long time. You don't need 3. You don't need to build it early on. At some point, you'll get a tech. We didn't have the option here. It will be a society tech that will give you +2 unity. At the start of the game, that's a very good one to take. Pop first, then food, then research, then the unity probably, if you want to pick your priorities there. The unity just will help you race through these trees much faster. For your first ascension perk, it's always the same one, technological ascendancy. 10% research speed, rare technologies, really, really, really good. Moving on, what you take depends on what ascension path you're going. If you're going to do genetic uplifting, you want to save your ascension perks for engineered evolution and evolutionary mastery, which, if I remember correctly, unlock on the 3rd ascension perk, but you don't have to spend your 2nd ascension perk. If you're going robotic, obviously flesh is weak, synthetic evolution. If you're going psionic, psychic basically, mind over matter, and transcendence. Yeah, that's what you want to shave those for. Defender of the Galaxy can be useful if you're trying to build a federation or beat the endgame crisis, but early on you don't really need to take it. Same thing with most of these other ones. They're not worth doing. However, Voidborn is worth snagging when you can if you're going to use habitats, and habitats are the easiest way to build tall, so you want to focus on that. This is expanded, by the way, just past starting moves to a general min-max push. I've already kind of done most of the opening move stuff. Mega Builders worth getting, Galactic Wonders, Arcology. Those are the ones you want to go for. Try to do expansion first, then discovery, because it'll get you 10% research speed, and then you can kind of go where you want. Harmony has a nice 5% stability thing over here, which is worth getting at some point. Prosperity is always a solid one to do. Diplomacy, if you're going to go into it, unless you're going to complete it, it should probably be your last 2 you complete. But if you want a federation, you got to go 1, adopt it, and then go here. Gets you an envoy and allows you to form a federation. Supremacy is good on every civilization, empire in this game. Just, it's very strong. It's your best way to increase your military strength, either offensively and defensively. And domination has a special mention here because you're going to be using slaves. Right down here, you've got Workplace motivators. Unlocks edict extended shifts, which increases productivity, and increases output from workers and slaves by 5%. Very strong. You want to keep as much of your population enslaved as you can. So if we go, this one we did syncretic evolution for the start because that gives us serviles, and serviles have more resources from jobs, and they can't be employed in rulers, specialists, or leaders anyway, so you just enslave all of them basically. They're already slaves. Now you've got different types of slavery. Chattel slavery is the basic one you can get. Domestic servitude can kind of be nice, increasing amenities. Battle thralls, yeah, you wouldn't want to use it. However, indentured servitude here is interesting because you can put indentured service in worker and specialist jobs rather than just like slave production jobs. So it's probably worth swapping to that over the chattel slavery. It allows you to employ them in a larger range of jobs, per se. And they have more political power, but slaves have no political power anyway. You can set up the default rights for other civs to be slaves immediately. And you can pick for your living standards a variety of different ways to live. But if you go to your starting one and you do stratified economy, the slaves and workers have basically no consumer good upkeep. Yes, they have reduced happiness, but your rulers, specialists, and workers have more happiness, which means they produce more and more political power. So this is a very strong one to do for them. Basically, that's the goal. You want to stick as much as you can in stratified. However, because these are all slaves, they can't be stratified. But if you make them full citizens, then you can do stratified. But by and large, you want most other species to be slaves, unless you're finding that your capital species does not have enough population to fully manage all your high-level stuff. But that's fine. Let's see. I'm just going to quick look through my notes here, see everything else we might have. I believe that is it. The science tree here, physics, has by and large the best military stuff, although you do need to research different ship sizes down here and star bases upgrades as well. But by and large, physics has the best end game weapon as well, and it will get you better stuff in the long run. So it's definitely something to focus on. Make sure that your scientists, by the way, match their category. So put engineering scientists in the engineering category, society, physics as well. I've seen multiple people put in somebody who doesn't belong there, and it doesn't help. The other thing you can do, if we go back to science here, is you can see if there is a better scientist. Like this guy is just maniacal, so he gets +5 research speed on everything. Whereas this person has an expertise in just New World colonial techs of society. The other guy's bonus will apply to the other forms of society techs like genetics, biology, and stuff. So be aware that's something you can do to max it out. Swap those around as well. Let's see, what else do we have to cover? I think that might be it. So you can obviously go through what I've talked about, some of which will start immediately, some of which will start later. Once you unpause, though, your goal is to explore, expand as fast as you can. Try to get some food income, sell the food to get energy. Actually, I did forget one thing. Sorry. Features, sprawling slums. You want to remove this once you get 300 energy. This will give you an extra population. It's just, it exists on your planet at the start. Basically, every species has something equivalent to this, and it will get you a population. It's worth doing as soon as you can. One pop is very strong early on. As the game progresses, one obviously makes less difference. It can be very powerful. You do want to clear these at some point, but you don't have to worry about it specifically early on. Your starting world's really good. You don't want to build apparently tons of generator districts. At least on your starting world, you want to do mining and then use the minerals to build more city districts to unlock more build slots down here, which you basically want to fill with research labs. You basically want to turn your starting world into a research lab production facility. Your second world should probably be an alloy foundry one, so a lot of industrial districts as well as science, and then another science, and then you can kind of specialize however you like. It's quite possible to get an absolutely insane amount of science if you focus science on early on. I did a test run using one of these starts, slightly different. I had about 800 science, 52 years into the game. It was basically over 100 years ahead of time in tech. So tech is key. Building what we've done will get you more alloy to expand faster. It will get you more productivity. Remember, your slaves are really, really productive. They're going to give you quite a lot of stuff. If you look at what they do, because they're enslaved, you get a bonus for that. Your empire is a slave bonus. Your governor gives you a bonus. The boost in stability gives you a bonus. These slaves are absurdly productive, producing almost 10 food at the cost of 1 food, and more importantly, basically no consumer goods. That's why you use slaves if you want to expand really fast. Now, if you don't want to do slaves, this is not the guide for you. But you can do similar stuff, just not using the slaves. So hopefully this guide will help you guys get better at a start. It's very complex. The one where I messed up here trying to figure out the ship designer versus the fleet designer, it's not a huge thing. Once you're done upgrading, you disband the fleet. You've pulled all the resources out of it you can. You wait till you get destroyers and then build new ones, basically, at that point. And then you build battleships. Corvettes and cruisers, less useful. That's just the other one. And that's basically it. Be aware that you can set up monthly trades to sell stuff, which is what you want to do with food at some point. You don't want to sell in bulk. You, by and large, want to do monthly trades. Selling in bulk will lower the price. You'll get less, whereas if you do it monthly, you'll keep the price roughly the same and do pretty well there. So I think that is everything. Be aware that edicts are really good, and you want to try and expand and use that. Thankfully, you start with 2. So information quarantine, and then probably another one that gives you stability or slave production, and you'll be all set. So that's the end of this guide. Before I keep talking again, I keep saying more stuff. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps you guys get a better start, slightly min-maxing it. And I'll see you guys all in another video. Bye for now.